Let me tell you a story about how I won a 100-mile race. And this is definitely one of the top three memories of anything I've ever done in my life. So I got to set up the stage of how this race was set up. So this was a last one standing race in St. George, Utah, and they actually cap it at 102 miles. And so they don't keep going like most last one standing races, but they get you to the 100-mile distance, which is a pretty big deal, right? And so this race is a 6-mile loop around a park and some paved trails in St. George, Utah. And you do this loop 17 times, so that gets you 102 miles in total. Now, the interesting thing about this race is you have 90 minutes to complete each 6-mile loop. And if you finish early, you're not allowed to start the next loop. So if you finish that 6 miles in 70, 80 minutes, you have to wait until that full 90 minutes is up, and then everyone starts the lap at the same time. So it's a different kind of 100-mile race. And so I had done this a couple times. I had gotten to 66 miles one year. I finished it the next year. And then this third year I tried the race, I actually won it and set the course record for the race at that time. And so, as you can imagine, training for a 100-mile race is a big feat, and it takes a lot of energy, a lot of time, a lot of early mornings, sleepless nights, sores, pains, hunger, all those things, right? But during this training block leading up to the 100-mile race, I think I found the key to unlimited motivation when it comes to training and getting the work in before your race. And so I want to walk you through some of the things I was doing in order to train hard and end up setting this course record at this 100-mile race. Because on that last lap, I ran an average of about 7.5 minute miles for the last six-mile loop. So the day I won this race, I ran 96 miles, and then on that last lap, whoever finishes the lap or first wins the race, right? And so I ran that last lap in about 45 minutes. So my last 2 miles were sub 7-minute miles. I think the last one was like a 6:13, which was incredible. I didn't think I would even have been able to do this. It was kind of one of those days where things worked out well and there was some extra gear. And I believe the extra gear came from the training and the time and the energy and effort. I don't think it was magic. I don't think it was some, extra force per se. I think it was just the fact that I had put in the work leading up to this race. But it's easier said than done to put in all this work and run super early in the morning or do a lot of long runs back to back. So I would do a lot of 30 milers on Saturday and 20 milers on Sunday. And so this took a lot of energy and effort. The other part of this is I travel a lot for the job I'm currently in. So I travel all across the country to Canada. I've gone to a couple different countries. And so that's difficult too because you have jet lag and I have to be to work at 9 wherever I'm visiting. And that means sometimes getting up at 3 or 4 in the morning after not sleeping well on a flight the day before or whatever it might be. So I believe I've tapped into something that I don't hear runners talk about when it comes to getting unlimited energy or motivation, or at least giving you the edge to push over the things that get in your way when it comes to training. So for me, I'm a big visualizer, and I know some people probably know what this is. I think many people don't know what this is or don't understand how to do this. But when I say visualizing, what I mean is I'm trying to put myself in the moment of the accomplishment as best as I can to feel it before it happens. So throughout this training block, what I would do on my runs, or sometimes just laying in bed or on an airplane, is I would try and put myself in the moment of me winning that 100-mile race as best as possible. And so the way you do this is, well, it helps if you close your eyes, that's one. But the thing that helps is in order to feel the feelings, because that's very powerful, you can use those feelings as fuel. In order to feel those feelings is you want to tune in as many senses as possible to that moment. So while on a run, for example, I might be on a 10-mile easy run. That's a lot of time to yourself. And what I would do is I would try and picture what it would look like me crossing that finish line. I would try and tune into the sounds that I might hear. Maybe, any sort of smell or even just the feelings in general. And I know that sounds silly, like what kind of smell would you be smelling when you finish a race? But the more you can dial in your five main senses to this moment, you begin to feel what that might be like. And it's a hypothetical, but that hypothetical is very powerful when you tune in. And so if you're not used to visualization or tuning in to try and feel things that haven't happened yet, the easiest place to start is closing your eyes and trying to picture that moment as best as possible and really, really put yourself there. Because when you do this consistently and you start to feel those feelings and you build what that would feel like, that feeling trumps and overrides pretty much anything, in my opinion. When I only had 4 hours of sleep and I had a 10-mile run before work, if I could tune into that feeling of what it would be like to win that race, that would give me this energy boost to get out of bed or, get started on my run, or at least get the first step started, and I deal with the rest of the run afterwards. So the more you can feel the feeling of that accomplishment, the more you're going to be able to override the doubts, the exhaustion, maybe feeling like it's too much or that you're pushing yourself too hard when really you're just tired. These are all things we deal with as runners. And just to be clear, it doesn't have to be winning a race. If your goal is just to finish a 5K, you can still put yourself there of what will it feel like when you cross the finish line of the 5K. What would you see? What sounds would you hear? Is there anything you would feel, taste? Anything, any feelings that you can, or senses that you can tune in to that moment of accomplishment is going to help you override the moments when you want to back down, not go out for your run, not do your strength training session or yoga. And the more I find myself doing this, the more I find it easier to bring up those feelings immediately. Because initially when you start this, it's new and you're not entirely sure how to go about this. But once you're really good at tuning in and visualizing these moments, it actually becomes much easier and much more powerful. So repetition, consistency is key. And this is what I've been able to do to overcome exhaustion, jet lag, any sort of doubt. And it's obviously paid out because of the races I've been able to win or the physical feats I've been able to accomplish. So I hope this helps you, and this is something to practice and work on that you can do when you're running or just sitting there and you got nothing to do. So that's my opinion or strategy to come up with as much unlimited motivation as possible. And I hope to see you out on the trail sometime soon.